What if I told you that to be a friend of this world was to be an enemy of God? It's a strong statement, isn't it? And it doesn't sound quite right. The statement almost makes it seem as if following God and following Jesus Christ is mutually exclusive with any kind of involvement in this world. But that doesn't reflect our reality, does it? Most of us are deeply immersed in this world each and every day. I think about our immersion with the physical creation and how much we enjoy the physical creation. You know, the weather's getting warmer, and so many of us are looking forward to spring so that we can be outside more and we can enjoy different aspects of this physical world. I think of the vacation we took a couple of years ago when we went out west. And my family and I had the opportunity to go to the Grand Tetons in Yellowstone and the Badlands, and how just overwhelmed we were with delight in experiencing different aspects of creation. But it's not just the physical world that we enjoy. Think about enjoying different cultures. I know many of you like to go to restaurants of different cultures, or when we choose to take a vacation, we like to go to different parts of our country, or maybe even a different country, to experience different cultures because we find joy in that. Perhaps most significantly, we have a lot of friends and loved ones in this world, don't we? We enjoy our schools. We enjoy our vocations. We enjoy our extracurricular activities. We enjoy being around the people of this world. So, how can it be that to be a friend of this world is to be an enemy of God? Well, that's exactly what James says in James chapter 4, verse 4. He writes, "You adulterous people, don't you know that friendship with the world means enmity against God?" What is James saying? Is James saying that if we're going to follow God, if we're going to be good Christians, we have to withdraw? We have to remove ourselves from every aspect of this world? We have to join a monastery or find a cave in the desert so that we're not around anybody? I don't think that's what James is saying. Rather, when James uses the term friendship, he's using it in a very specific way, a way that is much deeper and more meaningful than we often use the term friendship. You know, the term friendship for us is something that can be applied to any number of things. We are friends with animals. We're friends with people we barely know. We're friends with people on Facebook that we never talk to. And we're friends with our loved ones and our family members. Friendship to us can mean almost anything. And very often, it's simply a term to indicate that we have a common interest with somebody. So I'm friends with other Buckeye fans. I'm friends with people whose children also play soccer. I'm friends with people who like to do the same things and go to the same places. We often define friendship simply in terms of association or sharing something in common with one another. Well, that's not how James is using the term friendship. In order to understand how James is using the term friendship and how friendship was thought of in the first century, let's go to the Gospel of John, chapter 15. And at this time, Jesus is engaging with his disciples, and he calls them his friends. But in calling them his friends, he provides some insight on what it means to be a friend of Jesus. Notice what Jesus says in John chapter 15, beginning in verse 12. "This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. No one has greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. You are my friends," Jesus says. "You are my friends if you do what I command. I do not call you servants any longer, because the servant does not know what the master is doing. But I have called you friends, because I have made known to you everything that I have heard from my Father." Notice how Jesus talks about friendship. To be a friend with Jesus is to follow and obey Jesus. To be a friend with Jesus is to hear and respond to the voice of God, to the will of our Father in heaven. You see, Jesus is defining friendship in terms of ultimate loyalty, ultimate allegiance. One author that I often refer to talks about one's ultimate concern. And it's that nuance that James is using in James chapter 4. He's saying, don't you know that friendship with the world means enmity against God? Let me paraphrase that briefly. To have your ultimate trust in this world means that you don't trust God. To have your ultimate allegiance to the people, the places, or the things of this world means that your allegiance is not in God. And the key to this definition might be in the word adulteress. James calls these readers an adulterous people. Adultery is a common metaphor, especially in the Old Testament prophets, for idolatry. Idolatry is a rejection of God to place our trust in something or someone else, our allegiance in something or someone else, our faith in something or someone else, our ultimate loyalty, our ultimate concern in something or someone else. And James is saying to be friends with the world, to trust the world more than to trust God, is spiritual adultery. It's idolatry. And it's in that sense that friendship with the world means to be an enemy of God. To state it positively, we are to trust God above all else. We are to be loyal to God above all else. We are to obey God above all else. To put anything or anyone above God is idolatry. So that's what James is saying. So he's not saying we have to remove ourselves from this world to end our friendships and to end all of the things that we enjoy in this world. But he is saying that in the midst of it all, we have to remember that God remains number one. And anything other than being number one is idolatry. It is a rejection of God. So I think James 4, verse 4, can really challenge us today to reflect. In what or in whom do I ultimately trust? In what or in whom is my allegiance? Who or what is my ultimate concern and my ultimate guide for life? All of us, if we're honest, are tempted to look in other places than in God. And we need to reflect upon that and confess it when we do. Because our ultimate allegiance, our ultimate loyalty, our ultimate trust must be in our Heavenly Father and His Son, Jesus Christ.